All right. Well, here's a few news articles I thought were interesting. The Segway. Remember these things? Haven't seen people riding these much anymore, but I guess they're tourists that ride them around San Francisco. Anyway, their website got hacked by the MageCart group, quite well known. They find some kind of vulnerability on a website that lets them add code, and then they steal your credit card number by adding code to the website. They do it by hacking into this thing called Magento, which is used by an awful lot of companies for payment. And so that keeps happening over and over again. That's been happening for years. Zerodium is a zero-day exploit broker. They buy attacks and then they sell them to the highest bidder. And so now they advertise openly for this. This is sort of like being an arms dealer. It's apparently not illegal, and nobody knows who they sell to, although it is widely suspected that they're bought by the NSA. Anyway, they now want to buy 0 Days in Outlook and Thunderbird. So these are people who actually run a local email client and download their email over POP3 or the other protocol I've forgotten that people use for this, which is amazing to me. I mean, I haven't used this in 10 years. I thought pretty much everybody had moved to webmail like Gmail or Outlook Web Access. But if people are running local copies of Outlook or Thunderbird, then I guess they'd be vulnerable to this. And enough people must be doing it that they think it's worth paying $400,000 for vulnerabilities for it. So, Joseph Menn is one of the most famous cybersecurity authors in the world, writes books and articles and gets a lot of scoops. He's been at Reuters for 10 years, and now he's quitting to do something he hasn't explained what he's going to do yet, although in the past, when people announce like this, they usually just open their own independent publishing thing, which that's what Brian Krebs did. Brian Krebs worked somewhere, I think the Washington Post, and they decided cybersecurity wasn't important and they canceled it. And he said, well, I don't need you guys. I could just have my own website and be my own news source without being tied to a newspaper or anything, and it worked fine. So, like artists somewhat these days, various people are finding out if you make something, you can go straight to the people and cut out the middleman. If you're famous enough. And Joseph Menn is certainly famous enough, I would think. So anyway, he has some fascinating stories he's put here. Chinese cloud hopper. Actually, I don't remember that one. Some Chinese espionage thing. This is the one that made Microsoft start warning people when countries are trying to hack them. He found out that Microsoft knew people were having their email hacked by China, but they didn't tell him. This is the one which, I don't know how he got this. I haven't heard much about this lately, but a few years ago, everybody was getting these FISA orders. You would get this secret court order from the U.S. government that says you must hand over your customer data to us. You cannot even tell your lawyer it's happening. You cannot sue us back or protest this in court. And you can never tell anybody it happened. And people would make warrant canaries. They would try to make a statement on their website saying we have not had a FISA warrant, so that when that statement went down, you would deduce they had got one, and things like that. Everybody was very, very afraid. This was going on all the time, and somehow he revealed that Yahoo had got one of these, and they were searching every email at the behest of FISA. I haven't heard about this for a few years. Maybe it's finally been blocked or gone out of fashion. And this one I did not know about. We talk about this a lot in the mobile device security class. If you have an iPhone and you store data locally on the phone, that data is encrypted with a password that nobody has but you. And Apple can't get in. If you take it into the Genius Bar, or if the FBI seizes that phone and takes it to Apple, Apple can simply not get in. They will just say, we can't get the data off that phone. But if you have iCloud turned on, it backs up your data in iCloud. And iCloud data is not encrypted, or if it is, Apple has the key, so that for all practical purposes, it doesn't matter. Unless people remember to turn off iCloud, all their data is available to law enforcement. And what I didn't know was that was in response to the FBI. Apple was going to encrypt iCloud too, and the FBI told them not to, and they agreed. So that's an interesting one I missed, I guess. This one I heard about. RSA, the security company had chose to make their default encryption a very strange version of elliptic curve cryptography that was much slower than the alternative versions, and used a very strange random number generator. And it later came out that that random number generator had the mathematical property that all the numbers could be predicted if you knew some secret numbers, which they couldn't figure out, but they assumed the point was the NSA had that. And the NSA paid RSA $10 million to make that their default encryption. So this is the third or fourth known time that the NSA and the National Institute of Standards of America have lied about cryptography and mathematics to trick people into using an encryption scheme that they know is broken, so that they can spy on it, because the official mission of the NSA is not to provide people high security products, but to provide systems that have a property called no-bus, nobody but us. They want everyone using systems that have a backdoor that nobody else can find, so nobody can get in but us. But the NSA's mission is to read everybody's communication, especially the encrypted communication, to find out the secrets. And so they, not only do they use strong mathematics and strong computing power to crack all the known forms of encryption, they also interfere with the development of civilian encryption to modify it to make it weaker. And that second activity, which came out largely because of Edward Snowden, has proven highly controversial politically, but there is no sign that they have stopped doing it. Like I say, probably not illegal, but it does make people feel bad that you cannot trust, say, what the National Institute of Standards is telling you, which is why when I teach my cryptography course, I taught it last semester, I'm not teaching it this semester, there's two classes of cryptographic algorithms. There's the ones officially approved by the U.S. government, and there's another whole class of ones you choose if you don't trust the U.S. government, which is a pretty high market. And you carefully choose the ones that have not been approved by the U.S. government, because you suspect that anything approved by the U.S. government has had a hidden backdoor put in it, which has unfortunately proven to be true several times. And so here's the zero-day market and so on. Anyway, lots of wonderful stories in this thread, and Joseph Menn has done amazing work in cybersecurity, and now he's going to do something different, which I guess we'll find out pretty soon. So NFTs are these images, and you buy the rights to the image, and then your name is recorded on a blockchain. But blockchains have smart contracts that do this, and smart contracts have very strange security flaws. I've been teaching classes in this at various conferences and such, and one thing that is very strange is that when you interact with a contract, for example, by paying money to it or receiving money from it, you get the chance to execute code in the context of that contract. So what this means, as they've shown, you can rake an NFT, and when people interact with the NFT, it can record data from your wallet. And so this is why, I'm one of the sort of red team security people. Ian Coldwater on Twitter said, "This is awesome. I hated NFTs, but now I love them." NFTs give you the ability to hack into people's machines, apparently, to some extent. And that's the point. NFTs, the process of interacting with a blockchain is not as simple as people think it is. Interacting with a smart contract is a complicated, strange thing. Anyway, so it'd be interesting to see how much significance there is in this in the long run, but this is something that several security engineers have blogged about, is that the technical underpinnings of NFTs are very strange and contain some very strange and disturbing properties from a technological point of view. In addition to, of course, the economic issue that when you buy an NFT, you haven't actually gotten anything. You haven't got the copyright over the image. You haven't got any kind of exclusive rights. All you have is just bragging rights. It's just purely symbolic. Like I tell people, it's like buying a commemorative coin you might see advertised in the Sunday newspaper. Just says, 100 coins with Donald Trump on them. You own number 55. Not that it's necessarily worth anything, but it is possible that it might become a collector's item and other people might like it. So it's sort of like owning a rare postage stamp or something, or collecting an old coin. Can I still do that when you have a VPN? Yes, definitely. A VPN would be no protection at all. This is not a matter of injecting extra code into the transmissions that's not there. This is NFTs working as designed, and smart contracts working as designed. That's the amazing thing about smart contracts on the blockchain. Every interaction with it involves a mixture of code running on your machine and code running in the contract, running in the same context. So interacting with it at all implies giving you some ability to execute code in the context of the contract, which is very strange. Very unlike web apps. Smart contracts are very strange beasts. And NFTs are all smart contracts. Now, it has a good side, of course. One awesome thing about NFTs, if I make a painting and I sell it, all I get is the first money. If that painting then goes up in price and people resell it, I don't get any of that additional money. But you can code an NFT to give you a percentage of all future sales. And I see myself blurring out there briefly. Let me know if the quality of this goes down. Last night, Twitch was really bad, and I had to switch to Zoom. So put it in the chat if you have audio or visual problems, and let me know if I have to do that again. Yeah, it seems fine so far today, but I had one disturbing moment there, so we'll see. All right, so there's new Omicron variant. The second version, the first Omicron was, I think, BA1. BA2 is the new one, and apparently it's much more transmissible, 1.5 times as transmissible, completely replacing it in several other countries. So we are expecting another big wave of COVID after this Omicron wave, which is beginning to go down, in the Bay Area anyway. And here's a terrible article. The last one I'll mention today. This is copied from another article. This guy claims that quantum computers are going to break Bitcoin, which, by the way, might be true, but what he says is they're going to break the SHA-256 algorithm because the person who wrote this article is just an idiot. They don't understand cryptography at all. They don't even understand the difference between encryption and hashing. And hash algorithms are not going to be broken by quantum computers. They're perfectly fine. The thing that's going to get broken by quantum computers is public key cryptography, which is also used in Bitcoin. So it is true that quantum computers, if they get about 1 million times better than they are now, would in fact be able to steal money from the Bitcoin blockchain. So that'll probably take 10 or 20 years to happen, and by then they're going to have to upgrade the cryptography in Bitcoin if Bitcoin is still around. Anyway, but the details of this article are all wrong. It's a scientific article written by someone who doesn't seem to know any science. And unfortunately, this is copied from a New Scientist article. There are some an outlet that claims to be a scientific outlet, but they don't seem to bother to audit their stuff to see if it makes any sense. Anyway, I'm going to stop this one.